So the quarterbacks, right? We got to talk about the quarterbacks. I think everybody thought, this was going to be a big couple weeks for the Arms. That being said, San Antonio, what did we send out? 6 invites to the All-American Bowl and 6 new faces, right? So those initial 6 invites that accepted, there were 6 new guys at the end of the day. So here's a list of the guys from Orlando at the Under Armour All-America game, led by DJ Lagway, Ethan Grunkmeyer, the Penn State signee, and then you see Cedric Bailey, Michael Van Buren, the MVP of that game, and then Dante Reno as well. And then as we head over to the All-American Bowl, Walker White, as we talked about, Damon Williams at Arizona had a really good week. Hoss Haney, Trey Owens, Marcos Davila, and Jeremy Hiklinski. So, Drew, a lot of names, but let's start at the top. And a guy that we were really, I would say, excited to see in DJ Lagway, the Florida signee. Been some questions whether or not he was going to stick with Florida. He sticks with the Gators. It's always funny when you get in this setting, and I think, we talked about these all-star games really starting to emulate more of a NFL model. They're almost like what the Pro Bowl is now in the NFL. If you know anything about the Pro Bowl, well, it's flag football and a lot of more media coverage than it is actually these guys in full pads and shorts and shoulders and seeing good on good. So fortunately, we were able to see some of that. But the takeaways on DJ Lagway, Drew, is I'll continue to kind of beat the drum on this. I think 11 on 11 full speed, this guy is a different animal, and there's times that he flashes, but I also think it was a good reminder that, hey, it's not going to be overnight that this guy is going to step onto the field in Gainesville and completely change the trajectory of this program. I think we know he's fully capable of that, but it's going to take a little bit of patience, and I know that's not what Florida fans want to hear. Still think he can get on the field situationally, and I think you try to get him to that point, but I don't think it's going to be something where, here are the keys, DJ Lagway, take us to the promised land.
Well, it's unfortunate he got hurt in the, second quarter of the Under Armour game. Only got to throw 10 passes. We saw what I thought one flash of him running the football, and I think that is really what makes him the difference maker and why we are so excited about DJ Lagway and his ceiling. Look at the guys that are making plays in the college football playoff and are making them, in the upcoming wild card weekend. There are these mobile quarterbacks that aren't going to fall down the first time they are touched in the pocket. DJ Lagway, when he checked into the Under Armour game, guy next to me confused him for a front 7 defender. I mean, he is legitimate 6'3", 225 pounds. I went through my personal Rolodex in my head, and then I went through some rosters. I think he is the biggest quarterback ever at the Under Armour game since I've been covering it, and maybe really since Justin Fields, who did not participate due to injury, but he was there hanging out all week. I mean, this guy has the frame. Read some other people's practice reports, people kind of knocking the arm. We gave him our award for the biggest arm out there, and that's because, he's an upper body thrower that can get it around the field. Gatorade Player of the Year, that was announced a few days ago, Cooper. He had a heck of a senior season. I'm still a believer in DJ Lagway. Wish we had seen a little bit more. Unfortunate that he rolled up that ankle. But for me, I mean, he passed the test. He was what I thought he would be in terms of still got to keep progressing a little bit. Mechanics might turn some off, but man, combination of the arm, the legs, and the frame, it's all there.
Our friend Tom Luganbill, I thought, had the best player comp for DJ Lagway yet. That was Dante Culpepper. So he went back, and I brought up Cam Ward in the past, maybe a bigger physical, and you said it. I mean, I got eyes on Lagway. I'm like, how's this guy not a linebacker? He's out there, upper body thrower, explosive arm. Drew, I think we saw a little bit of it on the first drive, kind of what he's capable of with his legs. It's going to be part of his game. And the good thing about Lagway is he can lean on the legs a little bit. We saw this with Jaden Daniels early in his career, a guy that was super dynamic as a runner. He's not a Jaden Daniels type of runner. But as you have the legs, which is so much natural part of his skill set, the other part of his game can continue to develop. And that's going to be Billy Napier's job to get him to continue to ascend as a passer. And Drew, I talked about feel with Billy Amuasa and Nate Frazier. I think Lagway has that, and that's almost something like that is going to continue to develop as he gets more and more reps. So certainly an exciting prospect. Now let's transition to San Antonio. Hodgepodge of quarterbacks, man. We had 3 guys under 6 foot. Got a little bit of everything there, but let's start with Walker White, the Auburn signee. We talked about him. This is a guy that I think you and I have both had our eyes on for a long time out of Little Rock, Arkansas. A guy that has continued to improve his accuracy as a passer. I think up 9 percentage points in his completion rating as a senior, which was encouraging and something we wanted to see. Drew, you get around him, the player comparison has long been Will Levis. 6'4", 222 pounds, only 3 pounds separate the two. Obviously, Will Levis is in the NFL right now. Those numbers were from the scouting combine, but he's as good looking physically of a quarterback as you'll see. There are no question marks about the arm. I mean, you want to talk about NFL arm. We in the stats from the game were a little bit misleading. You know, it had Gatlin Bear hit him in the chest, had another one on the outside that he threw from the far hash to the bottom of the numbers. You got to see a little bit of everything. Good athlete, I would say adequate to above average as a runner in space, but something that is definitely you shouldn't just gloss over as well. But I loved what we saw from him. We talked about the receivers Hugh Freeze is bringing in. How about Walker White, man? I think, you know, it's going to be like a fine wine. Maybe 2 to 3 years from now, we look forward and say, all right, they got something with this dude.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a slow burn with Walker White. But, man, some of those throws he made in practice, and then you saw it in that clip, right, when he hit Nate Frazier down the sidelines. I think his ability to put it on a dot to the outside, 10 to 15 yards between the numbers and the sidelines, he's making throws that other guys in this class can't. I thought you saw that on his senior tape. And then we come to San Antonio, and it keeps showing up again and again in practice. He has an NFL arm, Cooper. I don't know if he's ever going to be, you know, a 70% passer. I just don't think that is his game. He's someone that's going to take the shots and then, you know, run the football. We saw him, I think he got 4 carries, you know, not as elusive as a DJ Lagway, but he can move the chains and he can move tacklers with him, you know, if they drape all over him. I thought it was an excellent week for Walker White. Eric Richards, again, director for the All-American Bowl. He texted me after day one. Okay, you know, I was kind of skeptical on Walker, but good job getting him in this game. No, it was excellent, Walker White, Cooper. And I think, you know, the Will Levis comp you threw out a few months ago, there was a lot of pushback, but I think Auburn fans would be happy there, and you should view him as the quarterback of the future there on the Plains.
All right, outside of Walker White, we talked about those quarterbacks that were sub 6 foot. Damon Williams being one of them, Hoss Haney being another. Let's talk about Damon Williams, man. I mean, you talk about a gamer. There was really nothing during the week that said, all right, I kind of see it with Damon Williams. But then you kind of look at Damon Williams, where he's going to play his football for Jedd Fisch, and then you look at the success that offense has had under Jedd Fisch and Noah Fafita, who took over for Jaden DeLora earlier in the season. I don't think there is a better place in the country for Damon Williams to go than to Tucson, Arizona, to play his ball for Jedd Fisch. And here's the thing. I mean, you look at the similarities between him and a Noah Fafita. You think about the suddenness, the athleticism within the pocket. We saw him get loose a couple times, scramble for that touchdown late in the second half of the game on Saturday. Drew, the other thing with him, I think you can kind of feel pretty comfortable on giving him the gamer tag, right? I mean, just the flow of the game. They move him outside the pocket. Things start to speed up a little bit. He took a hit on 3rd and 18 that he delivered to TJ Moore, a dime. I mean, he's got some, like, stuff in his neck. He's got a little bit of resolve. Projecting the Sundays, big question mark. The size is a huge issue. I think he came in at 5'9". Saturdays, Arizona's getting a hell of a player, and the Wildcats and their fan base should be very, very excited about how he fits in with Jedd Fisch in the big picture.
Are you getting the NCAA 25 video game? Because I think Arizona is going to be a team to play with. I don't know how he didn't win MVP. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a Coy Parrish guy, and to be clear, I didn't have an MVP vote. I don't think anyone at 24/7 Sports did. We did not select it. But Damon, 2 touchdown passes. He also had that rushing touchdown pass. You've said it, Cooper, and I think something that we haven't talked about enough with Damon Williams is he beat Dylan Raiola twice as a junior. He also, I believe, beat Malachi Nelson. This guy is good under pressure, under the lights. His ability to, I don't know, run around, reverse field, circle around is one of one in this class at the quarterback position. Yes, he's on the smaller side, but I think you're going to be watching. I don't know what the Big 12 media deals are in the coming years. Is it ESPN? Is it Fox? I have no idea, but you're going to be watching some of these games, and he's going to be in there, and you're going to be like, okay, this guy is fun. I think we gave him the Mr. Electric award for the week. I'm fired up to see him. Like, as a college football fan, he's good for the sport. And he was one of the last invites in, Arizona. There's some people that were pushing to get him in the game. We landed at San Antonio's airport. We are at baggage claim, and Arizona football, was advertising there in San Antonio. Remember, they had just won the Alamo Dome. So I don't know. Arizona, it's an exciting time, I think, if you're a Wildcat fan.
It's so important. We continue to talk about these all-star games and a lot of opt-outs and guys enrolling early to join their programs to practice. And I get it. It's a great opportunity. I understand why you would do that. But it provides opportunities for guys like Damon Williams and Walker White that, let's be frank, they were not the first calls to be invited to these games. And now you see these players in a completely different setting that you have never seen them before in. And guys like Walker White, guys like Damon Williams have risen to the occasion and they've cashed in. And that's going to suit those guys going forward, whether it's in the rankings or whether it's just the experience to play against that type of speed and that type of athleticism in that setting. So, Drew, the last one here that I highlighted, I don't know if you saw it, Marcos Davila heading to Purdue. I was kind of like, man, this guy's like sneaky Graham Harrell fit, like big pocket passer, guy that can facilitate. I thought he had a really good session, 7-on-7, and also the team period. I think later in the week did some really nice things, and you see the arm strength, can do a little bit of everything. Up and down, I think he's going to have to work on his consistency. But you talk about like the developmental upside, and then we've talked a lot about the fit with Damon Williams. How about the fit with Marcos Davila and Graham Harrell? I'm like, wow, this guy looks like Graham Harrell at Texas Tech all those years ago under Mike Leach. And for what they want to do, I think he fits in nicely over there in West Lafayette.
Yeah, he's what, like 235 pounds or something?
Boy, 239.
Yeah, we had three guys under 5'11", and some heavy individuals. I think if you're looking for you're a Big Ten fan out there, right, and you're going to hate a quarterback in the league, someone that's going to provide a ton of upsets at some point in the years to come. Keep an eye on Marcos. Now, you're right. He does throw a lot of interceptions. Senior season got off to a bit of a rough start, but he's a gunslinger. Baseball background, I think it shows up. I mean, live arm, can do the off-platform stuff, multiple angles. I can't wait to see him at Purdue. And with how this bowl season went, Cooper, how many true freshman quarterbacks ended up having to play. Like, I think we could see Marcos on the field at some point in 2024. And I think if you're Purdue, like, you got to take this guy. Yes, man, you got to coach him between the ears and get him to cut down on mistakes. But he is the quarterback of the future there in West Lafayette.